The Farmer's Bride by Charlotte Mew, published in 1912. Charlotte Mew was no stranger to mental ill health. Two of her siblings were sent to institutions for the mentally ill, and sadly took their own lives. Mew too had depression in later life, and never married. The poem is written as a dramatic monologue from the point of view of a farmer, who begins by recounting how 3 years ago he married a young woman in the late summer. It's likely that he is older than her, as he admits that perhaps she was too young, and he doesn't appear to be particularly thoughtful and subtle about his courtship. Notice also how he chose his bride. What say, if any, did she have in the matter? Therefore, perhaps, it's not that surprising that things go almost immediately wrong. His wife appears to be very shy and timid, and withdraws herself completely from him and society in general. So much so that she runs away in the autumn and has to be chased and captured, almost like an animal. Since then, the wife hasn't run away and carries out her domestic chores like all the other women, but her nervousness remains, especially when men are around. Consequently, the marriage hasn't been consummated, and she remains a maid. This means that there are no children. Ironically, the farm animals are said to be her children, which is a source of pain for the farmer, particularly during Christmas. Lonely and estranged from his wife, he still expresses heartfelt longing for her. The farmer's wife is suffering from some kind of heightened anxiety and an extreme nervous disposition. She is compared to a fairy, a hare, a small mouse, and a baby rabbit, which signify her delicate and vulnerable nature. This is reinforced by the description of her beauty, but notice how, despite her timidity, she is still wild. Arguably, because she doesn't conform to what the farmer sees as typical qualities of a woman, she is reduced to being animal-like. Back in the first stanza, he said that she wasn't a woman. Significantly, it is only when alone around animals that the wife comes out of her shell and is heard to speak. The cause of this anxiety isn't made clear, but it's noticeable how the wife turned afraid suddenly after the wedding. The implication is that she was frightened by sex, which is likely linked to her young age and near-zero education on the matter. Her husband's rough manners and seeming indifference to her needs would have made matters worse. As readers, then, our sympathies are divided. On the one hand, we may feel empathy, even sorry, for the farmer, who, whilst rough around the edges, appears genuinely perplexed and saddened by what has happened. There is a real sense of regret and unhappiness that there are no children, and he does show some pity for his wife. On the other hand, we recognise that the wife has been mistreated. She was probably forced to marry an older man who was initially at least insensitive and unromantic. Her lack of knowledge of men and sex, coupled with a reticent nature, has resulted in her being terrified by any kind of physical intimacy. There is a gulf of understanding between the couple, exacerbated by the farmer's lack of self-awareness. At no point does he try to see things from her point of view. Perhaps, in the end, both the farmer and his wife are victims of a lack of education in matters of love and gender relations at the time of the late 19th, early 20th centuries. The themes of separation and emotional distance are also present in When We Two Parted, Winter Swans, and Neutral Tones. The melancholic air of Farmer's Bride contrasts with the more celebratory love poems such as Love's Philosophy, I Think of Thee, and Sing Song, with the last two showcasing successful partnerships based on mutual respect and understanding.